Hi, welcome to EPEC Conversations, a podcast where we talk to everyday people who have lived through extraordinary circumstances. This is the first of many conversations that follow individuals from all walks of life on their unique journeys of healing and empowerment. I'm your host, Delrisha White, and I'm excited to embark on this journey with you all. So stay tuned for more content like this. Like, follow, and subscribe. I know for many of the people who have been following me through the years, you have been looking forward to me putting something out that you can come back to on a regular basis. So I'm happy to finally be sharing and fellowshipping with you all in this capacity. And I look forward to sharing more stories like these. So stay tuned. Our guest today is a dear sister friend, Dominique Reynolds. And to give you context on my relationship with Dominique, we met when I was 17 years old. I was a freshwoman at Bennett College, the oldest historically Black college for women, located in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, most people who know Dominique know her for her funny. She would have people rolling. She could be a comedian if she wanted to today. She was an upper class woman at the time, but we shared the same major, so we had a few classes together. And I just remember just how lighthearted she was and didn't really take life too seriously. And so since graduation, we've been tangentially connected since our Bennett days. But in the spring of 2016, Dominique lost her vision. And when she first publicly shared a video about her vision loss, I felt the deepest sense of empathy for her. And I just knew that I had to get in touch and reach out to help her share her story. So thank you, Dominique, for in advance. She'll join us in just a second for being so open and so vulnerable during this conversation that we're about to have. I know that this would change the lives of so many people and the perspective of so many people who haven't been impacted by something this traumatic. So today, Dominique shares her story. Dominique, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. How are you feeling? Before we get started, what's going on in your minds? How are you feeling?
I'm good, actually. I've been kind of sick this month, so I was like trying to recover, but today I'm actually feeling wonderful. I'm blessed.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. We're definitely happy to have you here. And because this is a podcast where we talk about human stories of trauma, triumph, and resilience, if there's anything that triggers you in the conversation that we're about to have today, you may feel free to pass or answer any question the way that feels most comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
Right. So why don't you start by telling us what you remember about the year that you lost your vision? What happened?
The year I lost my vision, it was a lot going on. I actually moved back home, I want to say December 2015 from Texas because I was sick and I just had to be close to family. So I moved back home, my grandma, and we were going back and forth to the emergency room. We kept, because I had real bad headaches, and they were just give me medication to send me back home. And I would just be in pain all the time. And we went to I want to say the hospital like 4 or 5 times. And then I think someone told me I needed to reach out to a neurologist or something. And I went to a neurologist. They did an MRI and things like that. And they found a blood clot on the brain. So I had to go to the hospital and get admitted. And they were trying to remove it and found 2 more on the brain. Mind you, I could still see. But at that point, I was having blurred vision. And yeah, it was starting to get really, really rough. So March, I want to say it was like the last week of March 2016 is when I lost my sight. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's like that last week. And it was, it declined really, really fast. Like I said, I had blurred vision, and then I just woke up and could not see.
So when you say you went to get the blood clots treated, was this like was this like a brain surgery? Was this like
I think they put, it was like at that point, I think they put me on blood thinners.
Okay.
I was taking blood thinners because they were saying that the blood thinners would work and dissolve the blood clots, which they did. But I think it was something where they took me in the surgery room. They went into my skull, and they tried to, I guess, like I said, remove it. And then they found 2 more and they said it was going to be risky. I could have lost my life. So they chose not to do it.
So you actually had your head cut open for them to treat it.
That part, I don't think my head was cut open. I don't know if they use like a suction or if they use like some type of surgical utensil. They didn't actually do the actual surgery.
Okay.
I think they had to do like a step before the actual surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you believe that an earlier event actually caused your initial health problems. Can you talk to us about the accident that happened in 2013 in Atlanta?
Yeah. I was getting off work, typical day, working, trying to survive, and coming home, and on one of the busy streets in Atlanta, I got in a turning lane, and I don't know if people know when it's a lot of traffic and the cars open up for another car to come through. Mm-hmm. I saw the car coming through. He was in a van. He didn't see me. So I'm, usually a person's supposed to push the horn, but I panicked and I pushed my hand towards the window like that was going to do something. And so I actually saw the accident come before it actually happened. And it was too late and he hit me head on. And
so you had a head-on collision?
Yes. It was head on. My car was totaled. I was in pain because I think my hand was on the steering wheel. So when I got hit with that impact, it kind of messed up my shoulder. Okay. And I think it hit me. Like, it happened so fast. So I'm sure I don't remember hitting my head on the steering wheel or anything, but it probably was a possibility. I got checked. The ambulance came and everything, and they checked me. I went to the hospital. They did x-rays and everything, and they said nothing was wrong, of course. And then I went home. And like after that, I started getting real bad headaches.
How soon after the accident did the bad headaches start happening?
I want to say about a week or 2.
Okay.
After, and it was so crazy because I don't know if I've ever told anybody this. Like when I would read stuff, I would have to like do like this with my eyes, like wipe my eyes because it would get blurry. And I would have to wipe it to clear it up. And I would have to do that a few times while reading. And I never thought nothing about it. I mean, I just took over-the-counter Tylenol and things like that. I never really paid attention to it. And yeah, I just kept working and everything.
So you started experiencing the headaches about a week after this head-on collision. We're told that everything seemed perfectly fine and normal. Yeah. And then how long after did you start noticing the blurred vision when you were reading? The kind of how soon after the accident?
I want to say it wasn't too far off, probably like 2 weeks after. Okay. And then it was like consistent after that, up until I actually lost my sight. Like I remember verbatim that when I was reading, I would just have to just keep wiping my eyes, because if I didn't, the words would be very blurry and I wouldn't be able to read it. Okay. And I wish I would have paid more attention, because it's like, dang. But who would have ever thought that I was going to actually lose my sight? But now thinking back, it's like, dang, maybe I should have. But I did go to urgent cares and stuff, and these hospitals just don't. They just don't.
Yeah. So what happened after you went to seek treatment?
They just said it was. They really don't say anything. They just like, we'll give you some headache medication and send you home.
And how many times did you have to pay? Did you pay a visit to the hospital or to urgent care for the migraines that you were having? How many times do you remember?
Before I actually lost my sight?
Before you actually lost your sight, yeah.
It had to be over 10 times.
Okay. And every time they just said?
They'll just give me some Benadryl or some headache medication and say, just stay out of light, because light triggers it. Stay in dim places, and that was it. And it got to a point where my grandma was like, she took me up there again, and she was like, I'm not taking her home this time until you guys figure out what's really going on.
That's right. So your grandmother takes you to the hospital. She says, we're not leaving because I'm tired of coming up here, and her leaving with the same issue. You guys need to get to the bottom of it. So your grandmother acted as your advocate in that moment. Did they respond to her then when she said that?
Yeah, after a while. Because the crazy part is, all them times that I went, they never suggested a CAT scan. They never suggested a MRI or anything. Like, they never checked my head. They
Mm,
just like, oh, she got a headache. Let me just give her some medicine. This will help, and send her home. But
mm,
my grandma was like, y'all need to do some type of test on her head, something. And I
mhm.
think that's when they found out that it was, blood clots on the brain.
So let's pause. So the car accident was in 2013. A
Hmm.
couple weeks after the car accident, you started having these headaches, and then
Hmm.
you actually lose your vision in 2016.
Yeah,
So
right. A big
3 years,
gap.
yeah, you were going back and forth to the hospital. I just want to make sure that people who are listening understand that this was actually a recurring thing over the course of 3 years
Yeah.
before you finally lost your vision.
Yes. So, like I said, just thinking back and just talking now, it's just like it could have been prevented if
Mhm.
people did their job.
Yeah. So when you got into that head-on collision, it was a company car, right?
Yes.
Somebody was at work. What
Yes.
happened with that? Were you able to follow up with the company? Who was the company, and how were you able to follow up after that head-on
I think
collision?
it was a stereo. I think it was called Stereo Car Plus. So it's a company who puts, I guess, the actual radios in the cars at the dealerships or something like that. And it
Okay.
was a dealership, and I hired an attorney in Atlanta out of Jonesboro. Um, what's it called? Miller and Mixon, something like that. And I hired an attorney. Went through the process with that, and that took a whole span of 5 years. No, we didn't settle out of court until 2019, and it was nowhere close to what I was deserving of. Um,
Mm,
they were finding experts in other countries to try to compare it with the head, to make it seem like they're trying to compare to see if the blindness was the cause of the wreck. And I'm
mm,
like, I was totally fine before that, so it had to be. They
mhm,
couldn't prove it. They didn't have the right to. I don't think they worked hard enough, in my opinion. They just did it because
mhm,
it was a lot of work that me and my grandmother had to do just for them to have. And it was basically like out of sight, out of mind. I moved back to Michigan. They were in Atlanta, so it was like they don't see me every day. So the only time they're going to pick up my case is if I call them.
mhm.
That's how we felt. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like they worked as hard as they should have. And it was just, it was crazy. I had to go to court, I had to be on the stand and everything in 2019. And I literally only walked away with under $9,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you lost your vision and got
Yeah.
less than $9,000 for this car accident
Yeah.
that led you to lose your vision.
Absolutely.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It's
What,
cool. I mean,
what was
not cool, but I mean, that's
it,
that's the world we live in.
that's the world we live in. I'm gonna ask you, Dominique, if you can just go back in time.
Hmm.
Can you take us to the day that you lost your vision completely? What went through your mind? Who was the first person you called? What can you share about what you remember on that day?
Uh, what I remember, I woke up, could not see. I want to say my grandma and them was staying at this condo, and I was telling them that I can't see.
I'm going to pause really quickly because I know that we talked about this before. Maybe take us back to the day before, right? And then go into the day that you lost your vision completely. Because I remember you explaining that the day before you lost your vision, things are really, really blurry.
Yeah,
You knew something was wrong. So
things were blurry. Well, let me backtrack because I was in the hospital a couple weeks with the blurred vision and the blood clots. So I was in the hospital. I was hospitalized for a couple weeks, and I remember them putting at risk band on my arm,
mm,
and my nurse who kept coming in there, she took good care of me, but I can see her like looking straight. But if
mhm,
I looked out of the side of each eye, it was totally black.
mm.
So that went first. Like
Okay. Your
if I was to,
peripheral vision went first.
yeah. So if I was to turn, it was completely black. So I'm like, wait, how can I see her face to face? But if I turn, I can't see nobody.
Wow.
I just sat there. I didn't really freak out. I just I told my grandma, I think, and I was like, and I told the nurse, I was like, I can't really see you. And I think I had to get up to go wash my hands or something. She had to help me because it was a struggle.
Mm.
And after that, it happened so quick after that. Like, I literally had blurred vision, woke up and could not see. And I think I was in the living room with my grandmother and one of her friends. And I think they were asking me to get something, or we were trying to do medication. And I was like, Granny, I can't see that. I can't read that. And she was just like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't see that. So she was just like trying to do everything she can to help me because she didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I did a smooth transition. I know people be like, well, I would have freaked out. I would have, done this or done that. But I don't feel like people know what they're going to do until you're actually in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's with
Mm-hmm.
anything, though. Like, you don't know. People say if it's a gunman in the store, you know what you're going to do, but you technically don't know what you're going to do until
Yeah.
you're in that situation.
Right. The trauma of it all can be debilitating by itself, right?
Yeah.
Or you could be in a position where you're just like, all right, well now what? Right? Because
Yeah.
you're still kind of in shock about it.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
it was like, I don't want to say smooth transition because of course it was devastating, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't see. Oh my God, somebody help me. Or like, I wasn't freaking out or anything. I was real calm.
And would you say it's because there was like a progression in terms of your vision? Like it wasn't just instant. Is that the reason why you think you handled it that way?
I mean, that's a possibility. Never in a million years I thought with having blurred vision, I'll go completely blind though.
Yeah.
That never crossed my mind. But maybe that had a hand in it, honestly.
Mm.
But it was crazy because it's like I'm up one day and everything is blurred vision, and then wake up and everything is black.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have
Yeah.
to learn how to walk down the stairs. And when I first lost my sight, my grandma didn't want me to do anything
Yeah.
because she was afraid that I might hurt myself, or she just didn't know. So
Yeah.
I would literally be in the bed and she would bring my cereal. She would turn the channel. She would literally watch me hand and foot. Seriously. She would not let me do anything because she didn't want me to hurt myself.
Yeah. Sounds like a very loving grandparent.
Yeah, most
Very
definitely.
concerned. What was that like for her, if you could kind of speak for her?
Oh, it was hard for her because, like I said, we never been around people who was blind. I mean, like I tell people, I probably seen maybe 3 blind people in my lifetime, and that's just them walking around somewhere in public. But you
Mm-hmm.
don't really see blind people. So it was a lesson for my whole entire family and my friends. We all learned at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could tell it was hard on her because it was just like, why, and like, what's the point? Like, just trying to understand. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the main thing, that trying to understand.
Mm. So Dominique didn't just lose her vision; she also lost her smell and her sense of taste.
Yes.
Can you talk about what happened there and the fact, like, how did you cope with that? Did that all happen at the same time?
Yeah, actually did.
Yeah.
I lost my sight, smell, and taste at the same time. The doctors kept saying, well, with you taking these blood thinners, first of all, your sight is going to come back because your blood clots are going to dissolve and your sight is going to come back, and your smell and your taste. They said that. And I want to say May 2016, I had 2 eye surgeries. One on both eyes, where they went behind the eyeball and released the pressure behind my eyes. They said that was supposed to work and bring back my sight.
Was it just like fluid or something in your
Yeah,
behind
I retained that's kind of how they're stating how I lost my sight. It's because of the fluid on my brain. It didn't
drain?
it doesn't drain. So now I have a shunt on my brain that goes to my abdomen, and it's supposed to just drain every day so it don't just stay on my brain.
Mm.
And I've had that since 2020. And I was hesitant because they've actually brought this to my attention years ago, and me and my grandma was like, no, is it going to help bring my sight back?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we're not 100% sure. And then I moved back to Texas, and a doctor here said it's a strong possibility that you will get your sight back. And 2 years later, I still don't have my sight back. It was supposed to help my headaches. It did help for a while, but like I said, the past month, I've had excruciating headaches, like when I first lost my sight. So I'm waiting to go see the neurologist in 2 weeks so they can adjust my shunt, because I think that's what it is. It's a magnet they have to put on my head to adjust the pressure. And I think that's what it is that needs to be done.
So it sounds like there's ongoing work around
absolutely.
the brain, even after you lost the vision, that this is something that has to be managed.
Yes.
So
I can go outside, and like this hot weather, heat doesn't work well with me, because migraines are, I don't know if you ever dealt with that, but they're a whole nother ballgame. It makes me nauseous. It just makes me feel sick. Like I can't do anything.
How does that work in Texas?
Girl, I'm in the house right now in the air.
Because you think it's the blood clots, and then you treat the blood clots, but then the blood clots, there's ongoing management.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. Like, just because I lost my sight in 2016 and the blood clots has went away and things like that, I still fight every day for different health issues that I have.
Yeah. Was your appetite at all influenced after your smell and your taste went away?
It was different. Like some things, like I can tell when things were salty, and I can tell when things were like nasty.
Okay.
I definitely could tell. Crazy thing is, the past year, I've kind of been getting my smell back. Which is crazy, because I remember going to an ear, nose, and throat doctor years ago, and they checked and they said, yeah, you would never get that back. So I'm just like, I've been smelling a lot in the past year. I really have. And I never thought I would. So that's why I've never gave up that my sight will come back, because if my smell could come back and the doctor said, I know my sight will. Because the doctors are not always right. Because if they were, I wouldn't be blind now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then what about your taste? Has your taste recovered at all?
Yeah, some things I can't really like define, but a lot of things I can.
So how do you decide like what you're gonna eat? Like when you go out to a restaurant, or
I just stick by the code. I stick by the code, the stuff I know.
Okay.
I'm not an open person who likes to try new stuff.
Yeah.
So I just stick to what I know.
But even when you're eating the food that you're familiar with, does any familiarity in the taste or the smell?
Yeah, sometimes I don't want to say the smell though. The taste, sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Can I compare in my college days what stuff tastes like to now? Probably not as deep as I could back in the day, because I had my taste and my smell. So it's definitely a difference. Yeah.
Can you, before we move forward in this next line of questioning, can you just explain to people, our listeners and our viewers, what you were working on before this accident in 2013? What was Dominique up to? What was she pursuing? What were some of your goals and your vision? What landed you in Atlanta? Just give us a high level overview of Dominique at 20. How old were you then? 26? 25? Yeah. 25. Take us to 25-year-old Dom.
Oh, wow. Well, I had graduated from Bennett 2012. So, and I moved to Atlanta to pursue my dreams in radio. That was the whole point of moving to Atlanta, because I have family out there, and I was familiar with Atlanta because I visited a lot. And it's a lot of inspiring Black young people who were making it. So I felt like, why not go there? So I really went there to follow my dreams of being a working radio. And I met a lot of frauds and phonies. Unfortunately, I did. I met a lot who said they knew this person, knew that person. They were going to put me here, put me there. Never happened. I just started working and, just to pay the bills. And I was doing security. Then I was a manager at Waffle House. it just took me a whole nother way.
Mm-hmm.
But my main thing was going out there to pursue my dreams. I've always wanted to do radio. I've always wanted to be a radio host. And unfortunately, it has altered. And I'm still trying to pursue those dreams right now as a blind person.
Yeah.
And knowing that it was hard as a sighted person is 1,000 times harder now, because everything is hard because people don't want to give blind people a chance. And it's so unfortunate because I'm educated. I'm willing to be open for training. But I'm just waiting for that right platform and that right opportunity to run with it. I just haven't been given that option yet. And I really hope with this interview, I help somebody, or somebody hears my story and help me.
That's right. Yeah, and that's what we're hoping for you too as well, Dom. I want you to talk a little bit about that. Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important for people to, understand that you lost your vision when you were 28.
Yes.
You
Never
were
in a million years did I ever think that I would lose my sight in my lifetime. Like that's never been in my mind.
Right.
I lost my mom when I was 12. I had to deal with that. Did I really deal with it? No. I was busy in sports. I stayed busy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grow up early because I had to take care of my mom and my little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Then for, me to do one of the biggest things in my life was to graduate from college, first generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much weight. You thinking in college, like it's so much weight on your shoulders because you're the first generation and you have to finish and things like that, because so many people are looking at you and things like that. And I accomplished that. And I'm like, okay, I can't be stopped. And then years later to be slapped with losing my sight is just like, oh man.
Yeah.
What you think you have planned in your life sometimes is really not that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really important lesson. I know for sure when I saw your story the first time, I think your sister was interviewing you on your Facebook, and I just was devastated and heartbroken. Like I felt true heartbreak for probably months.
Yeah.
After for months, I was like I would be in the shower and like just close my eyes and just wash my body and just feel, you know what I'm saying, and just be present with like how would I feel if I lost my vision, and how would I navigate this shower in real time?
Yeah.
Sometimes I would like cook and just like close my eyes temporarily, and then I would not trust myself. You know what I'm saying? Don't burn yourself now, right? Don't burn the house down. But like I just had this deep-seated empathy for you. So
that's dope that you even did that, because my grandma just told me, like, I want to say this year she's like, Dominique, I've walked through the house with my eyes closed. I've done different things with my eyes closed, and I just don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Like I've heard people come up to me and say, like, I've tried it.
Yeah.
And I really, like back in the day, I really challenged people to walk a mile in a blind person's shoes, for even if you can't do it for a whole day, an hour. Like my grandma's like the even sighted people, you think you know your house, or you think you know certain places, close your eyes and walk through there. You're gonna know that you don't know nothing about your house, because you don't pay attention to that. The things you see, this, you literally see this every day. You walk into your same routine, your same situation. Don't nothing move in your house, but certain items. But for the most part, everything stays the same. But if you was to close your eyes and walk in your house and maneuver through your house, do you think you will be able to do it?
Right. Can you actually talk a little bit about that? How did you get to a point of independence? What did you have to do to learn how to cook, to learn how to take care of yourself, to learn how to live life as a blind person?
Well, I think it was kind of easy, because the crazy part is I wasn't born blind. So I've seen things already. So the house that I was living in, I already knew what it looked like. My city where I was born, I know that verbatim. Like I went home and given directions to my sister and my uncle, and they're like, wait, you ain't blind. How you know this still? Because I have photographic memory. That's what they call it. Like I literally, if I've seen it before on multiple occasions, I know how to get through it. You can take me back to Greensboro and I can take somebody through that city like I could see.
And you've always had photographic memory? You've always known that about yourself?
Ever since I lost my sight, absolutely. That's how I remember so much, because I know what things look like. Like, I wouldn't know what to do if I was born this way, because you've never seen anything. But I saw for 28 years. So I know what things look like. I know the places that I grew up, I know what certain things look like. Yeah, things may have changed, but for the most part, I know how to get around. Yeah. I adjusted really good. I was already cooking when I could see. You don't need sight to cook. You just feel. My hands is my eye. My hands are my eyes. Like, my hands are everything. If I don't have my hands, I don't know nothing. And it was kind of hard because cooking without smell, most blind people, when they cook, they use their smell and their taste. So I really had to trust myself and not really measure, but know how I'm putting the season on the meats and things like that. It really was a smooth transition.
It sounds like the ultimate test of trusting yourself. Like, if you never thought you could do
absolutely.
Now you can't rely on your smell, you can't rely on your taste, you can't rely on your sight, that you literally have to just trust yourself.
Seriously. You literally walking by faith every day as a blind person. You're trusting people, that you don't know, people that you do know, but you have to learn those people in a different way. The way that you thought you knew those people sighted, you learned them in a whole nother way as a blind person. Because it's like, I think that my biggest thing as a blind person is having to bow down and listen to other people, because I was so independent. I was doing my own thing. I wasn't having to depend on nobody. Like, I have to depend on people more now. And it's hard.
Yeah. Especially as a super independent person. Like you said, you lost your mom at 12. You navigated Bennett, by yourself.
Yeah. Like, I was a troop. I was running this thing.
Yeah.
Now I gotta, hey, you think you can do this? You think you can take me here? I gotta rely on public transportation. It's very humbling, but sometimes it's very frustrating, because the things that you think people are going to adjust to, they don't. Like, sighted people are really, really not here. They're not here. Like, they're here physically, but are they here?
Say more about that.
Like, I feel like people that can see, because I've seen different in myself as a blind person from when I was a sighted person. When I was sighted, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of things. I just went through life just going. As a sighted person, as a blind person, you're paying attention more. You're listening to things that you never would have heard as a sighted person, because you can't see it. So you're hearing all type of different things. You're hearing how things are being handled. Just the lack of educated people in the world, with people with disabilities and visual impairment. The ignorance. I battled this a lot when I first lost my sight, going to the doctors, and my grandma would go with me, and I would be in a room and the doctor would say, "So how's Dominique feeling?" And I'm sitting right there.
Yeah.
And when I say that took me overboard, because it's just like, how can you be so disrespectful to somebody? Just because I can't see doesn't mean I don't have a brain or I can't hear. I just feel like that's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
I've heard people talking to someone in public like, "Is she blind?" And sometimes I'll just be like, "Yes, I am. And if you have any problems or if you have any questions, you can ask me."
Yeah.
And I know they get stung because they were like, "Oh." It's just like the people don't really pay attention to their surroundings. They're not passionate. People are really evil. They really are.
Yeah. When we talked, you talked a little bit about, you were like, you basically saying how, like you said, you hadn't encountered a lot of blind people in your life. And you said, there are plenty of blind people in the world. They're just scared to go outside.
Yes.
Can you talk about the risk that you take every day navigating your life as a blind person?
I'm taking a risk every time I walk out the door. Just like us as Black women, Black people, we take a risk every time we walk out our door because of the society that we live in, because of the color of our skin, because of we're being judged first off by what we look like, that we had no choice. over sexuality. So I'm fighting that first off, sexuality, fighting being a black woman. Now a blind black woman who's a part of the LGBTQ community. That's 3 targets on my head before I even walk out the door. So I have to convince people or
blind black woman LGBTQ community.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're a black woman, but you're also black and you're a woman. Right?
Yes. Yes. And you know how they treat women. I mean, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
So the odds are against me before I even walk out the door.
Yeah.
But I'm walking by faith every time I walk out the door. I'm trusting people in my surroundings that they're going to have me. Do I get nervous a lot? Absolutely. But I can't live in the house. I have to get out. I have to live my life because life is just passing me by. So I have to go out and I have to experiment stuff, even though it's scary. But I make it happen. I really do.
Have you felt any, can you tell me if you've ever felt like a moment of like true fear since you've been blind, like as a result of your blindness?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Can you take me to that moment?
My biggest fear is to be in a house that catches on fire and I can't smell it and I can't see it. That's one of my biggest fears. For a fire to catch and I don't know.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's literally one of my biggest things.
Yeah, and you have a partner. You have a wife.
Yes.
Is Shay around?
Yes. Come on.
Hey Shay, come on, join us. Welcome to the conversation. Hey, girl. Hey. Can you talk about, first of all, how long have y'all been together? Was Dominique already blind when you got together? And can you just talk about what the journey has been like, loving Dominique and supporting her through her disability?
So this is my first relationship where I have dated anyone with a disability. So it was a lot for me to change. Not just me, I have a daughter. So it was a new world for both of us. We met in 2019 online, and I fell in love with the person before even really understanding the totality of her disability. I fell in love with her heart. She's a very genuine person. She had a lot of things going on for herself. She was doing a lot for herself in there, and that's what first attracted me to her. I felt like I was doing a very good job, with how I handled the transition or the change that I had to become accustomed to when she moved here. But I wasn't really doing a good job
because it was challenging.
It was a lot that I felt like I had to tiptoe around because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, when in reality, she's always been open to my concerns and questions. I just didn't want to offend because as sighted people, we feel like that we encounter people, individuals with disabilities who actually get offended by certain things. So we're naturally taught to kind of like be careful, don't say anything that might offend, you want to be a help, but you don't want to hinder. So I really didn't know.
And I'm really good about, like, a lot of people will come up to me and say, like you can tell that they're dying to ask about my story or talk to me. And I'm just like, it's okay. You can ask me. Like, it's nothing that you can't ask me. I'm really open to tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I forgot.
You were basically, you thought that you were really knowing what you were walking into. And then when we actually moved in together, it's been very challenging for you.
It was different. It was different. She doesn't bother me a lot. You just got to be okay with her asking like 1,000 questions a day. Like me working with kids, I would hear it, but it was different when you actually live with it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm somebody who's an introvert. I don't talk for real. I'm more of I observe, I listen, I take it in and process. I can't do that with a non-sighted person.
Yeah.
I can't. She gets ticked off at me if I'm having some feelings about something and I don't communicate it, or if I don't answer her, she gets upset. That has been like the biggest challenge for me, learning how to open up my mouth.
Would you say that this has actually brought a different side of you out in this relationship?
Yes,
it has forced me to become way more open. I used to pride myself on being open, but I guess I was lying. I was lying. I did not learn how to really be open until she came into my life and challenged. I didn't talk. I just wouldn't.
I would tell her to like speak up for yourself.
That's with everybody.
Because I was a firecracker. Like, don't let them people run you over. Don't stop letting people do that to you.
She came down a very angry person.
Yeah.
She was very angry, but it took an intuitive person or somebody with an open heart to understand that anger was coming from a place of guardedness. It wasn't that I initially did anything to offend her, but when she lost her sight, she encountered a lot of people that crossed her doing things that she would never think people would do to take advantage of her, you know?
Losing sight, I couldn't even, it would be a long story. How it's actually heartbreaking because the people that you think have your back and who's there for you are the same ones who burn you when you can't see.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah. So it's hard to trust because you thought the people that you really trusted, you really have to put your side eye up like, I guess I thought I knew you, but I really don't.
Like, am I safe here? Right? Am I
seriously?
Relationship?
Like, are you guys really genuinely helping me because you think I'm about to get a lot of money due to this lawsuit? Or are you guys genuinely helping me because you're genuinely helping me because I'm going through what I'm going through?
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
And how old is your daughter, Shay?
She is 12.
She's 12. So what was that like for her?
Okay, so that was like a lot all in itself. I guess you can say my relationship with Dominique forced me to come out. I dated women, but it was always on the DL. Nobody really knew. But knowing that she was coming down and making this sacrifice to come to a different location to be with me and Kelly, I had no choice but to kind of come out and tell my daughter first and then my mom and my dad, hey, look, I've found the person that I really want to spend my life with. She has a disability, but we're gonna make this work. She's moving down here. I'm just letting y'all know. It wasn't really open for discussion. It was like, this is happening. I know this is coming as a shock. Mind you, I was a minister. I was in church. I was the worship leader, and I just dropped this bomb on my whole family.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It wasn't just a transition from my family. It was a transition from my city.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Have you ever told that your coming out story?
No.
This is the first time you're publicly saying like how you came out.
Yeah.
With pretty much.
Wow. That is, I have the chills right now.
It was crazy.
Like she didn't not only get backlash from her family, she get it from because she's known in her city. She has nonprofits. Like she said, she was in church heavy.
People know me because I was singing in church. That's how they knew Shay. That was it. So this was a culture shock for everybody, and it still is. I lost so many people, so many friends, pastors, associates, people that looked up to me. I've gotten messages from people that were like crazy because they're like, hey, I thought you believed in God and you're going and turning your back on God and all this. It was people that sent me to hell. It's been crazy. It's crazy.
So how has this experience tested your faith?
It has tested me completely. I actually found myself using these situations as energy to fuel my spiritual journey. Yes, and I have learned so much about myself, my surroundings, the things that I've encountered and why I've responded the way that I have. I've found out a lot just from my spiritual journey, but it couldn't have happened without that Christian foundation because I had to have that too. It's what brought me to this point as well. So it's been a lot.
So it sounds like this experience with Dominique, like going through this experience of having to come out in the church, having to come out with people who follow your work professionally, having to come out to the closest little person to you, your baby girl, having to do that actually in some ways forced you to rely on spirit even more.
Oh yeah.
To navigate the tricky waters of that period of time.
Oh yeah, I would totally agree with you. There were times that I really felt like I was in a dark place and I was alone, and there was literally nobody that I could turn to. I even found myself joining like I joined like the Black Girls Healing House on Facebook, and found myself going to build more friendships through the internet from people, you know, that I wouldn't even come across, and I actually ended up developing some good relationships through that. But that's because I was in this place where I felt like even God turned his back on me. Like my church, I got kicked out of my church from knowing information I guess I wasn't supposed to know. And that led me down a dark path. And then I stumbled across Dominique, and in the same year, I think that was the same year. So I was already in a low place. So it was really confusing for me. But one thing has always remained the same, and that's been my heart for her. And it's just grown since then.
Yeah. Wow. So talk to me about Dominique, your relationship with Shay's daughter, and Shay, what you know, kind of coaching her through your new life, introducing Dominique into your new life, right? How has that been for her? What's your relationship like with baby girl? What's her name?
Kelly.
Yeah.
Well, I visited a couple times before I actually moved. I flew down here a few times. She was talking to me. I thought
down here in Texas from Michigan.
Yeah. I came down here and visit. Should we tell our first comment? What is it? The first time we met? What? It was crazy as hell, Darius. Seriously. So I would just tell you, this is the first time we ever met.
But before we do that,
okay.
Shay, if you could just move into the frame just a little more.
Okay.
Yeah, because I could see, and Dom, you just a little more too now. Yeah, there you go. We can see y'all faces. But go ahead now.
I'm gonna go back to that question for sure.
Okay.
When I first came down here, I didn't tell my family because I know they're crazy. They're very protective. So I said I'm going to visit a college friend.
Okay.
So I get on the plane. I'm flying. I'm supposed to be flying into Dallas. She's coming to get me. I guess the weather is really bad. So we're just up there in the air, just going in circles. So they tell us on the thing, yeah, we can't land in Dallas. We're going to have to take you to Houston. What? Houston? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to call her. I don't even remember how the hell I got in touch with you.
I don't either.
It was crazy. I must have been on the plane and I called her. I'm like, okay, so change of plans. You have to come to Houston. Okay. I didn't think she was gonna come. She's like, I'm on the way. Mind you, I'm still. So I'm over here mad. Like, okay, so y'all putting me in a hotel.
Right.
Are y'all giving me a voucher? Are y'all doing anything? They put me in a hotel. She drove. It kind of worked out because once I got off the plane, I probably was at the hotel for about 15, 20 minutes. She was right behind. She drove 3.5 hours to come there.
Wow.
To come get me. We stayed there that night and then we drove back to close to Dallas where she lives.
Okay.
So that was our first ever
time meeting each other.
Yes.
Wow. That's how you know it's real, huh?
No, I said, oh, she drove 3 hours to come pick me up. Oh, she for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that changed a lot for me, my perspective. Like, oh, okay, she's a real one, for real.
Yeah, yeah. But
I met her daughter. She was open. She was talking to me. We have our moments, but that's my girl. That's my baby. She talked to me. We talk to each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes she come to me.
Yeah, she
and
does.
Don't come to her.
She definitely does. She tells her all the secrets. I have to find out the tea later.
Yeah. But our relationship is really good. It really is.
Yeah. How has she grown through your relationship? With another woman, right? But also with a blind person that you're, living with.
She's kind of protective over me though.
Pray for me because it's been a lot. Mind you, this is actually my second marriage. I was first married to a man. So I encountered myself a lot from that journey. Violence, abuse, things like that she witnessed. So just imagine now I'm dropping this shell on her that there's a woman, baby, you're about to get another mommy. And she can't see, but it's okay. We're gonna love her. We're gonna be there for her. It's going to be a transition. She never, of course, she had questions, but she's always been open. That's one thing that I can honestly say that I've always admired about my baby. She has always been open. So her accepting her with open arms, even with her questions and stuff, she's always loved her. She always go to her. She can depend on her just like she depends on me. And it's been amazing. Like her growth, she made it easy. She just did. She's always had an open heart. She's made it easy. So I can say that we're blessed in that aspect, because I know other children, would have an issue with that, such a transition like that, so drastically. But she really didn't.
I think it really just goes to show, that when you educate young people, that all these biases that we carry with us as grown-ups, those are all learned behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adults learn that when you educate young people at a very early age, it doesn't mean that they're going to be influenced to do a bad thing. No, it just makes them more aware and more conscious people in the world. And now, because of her exposure to your ability, Shay, to be vulnerable in the church and say, no, this is my life. Your ability to be vulnerable in your professional life and in your personal life with your own family. She gets to witness a Black woman, her mommy, right, setting boundaries and expectations and doing what makes her feel good, right?
Like all about setting boundaries over here.
Yeah, and because of your relationship and her meeting you, Dom, she has built a whole nother muscle of empathy for blind people and for people
absolutely
with disabilities, right? So I think it really speaks to that. So she's a testament to that. So that makes me feel really good as an educator to hear that. I have a couple more questions before we log off, because I know I've had your time for a while. Dominique, can you tell us about what it was like to go to blind school, to learn how to sew and to learn how to do activities individually as a blind person, to be in community with other blind people? What was that like?
I fought it. I didn't want to go. I fought it. Like I did not want to go. Like, it's not going to help me. I already know how to cook. I already know how to do this, do that. Just being in my feelings, like, I don't need the help. But in all actuality, it helped me so much, because I got to be around people 24/7 that was just like me. And I had never been around somebody who just like me after losing my sight. Mind you, when I lost my sight, it took almost a year to find help, because they don't have advertising for blind people. We had to really go search for help. And since I've been in this, I really want to make that gap in between to help people who's transitioning or who have families who's losing sight, because it's not broadcast for the help. You have to really go search for it.
Yeah.
So me going to the blind school, it helped me a lot. It put me back like I was in school. I had a schedule, learning different things. I couldn't stay in Braille because it was so challenging, and my brain just was not comprehending. The computer, I kind of was good with it. It still has its challenges, because it's like I'm having to learn all over again another way. And it's so much details with the computer and trying to learn as a blind person than a sighted person. A sighted person can just go to Google and type it in. I got to do all these different navigations to even get to that. So it's frustrating to me, because I'm so used to just getting to things really quick. So a lot of times I don't try, and I do ask my wife. She's like, "Did you even try?" And I'll just be like, "No, but I just try to get this shit done."
Yeah. I just want it to be done.
It's just so frustrating, because it's like, I know I need to do it, but it's so much work.
Yeah.
But the school really did help me. I think that the schools, and me and my blind friends do talk about this. I think while they're helping us, they need to make sure when we're done with the program, they should be job placing us. We should have a job after. A lot of people that I went to school with, they still don't work. We've lost all of the things that we learned. Like, they're not. I feel like a lot of things need to change, and we talk about this. The way, and it's the craziest thing is discrimination within the blind community. We already deal with the stuff that we deal with, but they still treat white blind people better than the Black ones.
Wow.
It's really crazy. It's pretty pathetic. When I was living in Michigan, I lived in the suburban area, so I was getting everything that the white people were getting. And my friends were living in Detroit. They were getting nothing. Wow. They had shitty counselors. And ever since I moved here, I don't live in a bad area, but I'm getting what they were getting in Detroit. Me having to hound them down, chase them down for a year, over like 2 years for me to get a computer. Ask them about the job, have to hound them down.
Who is that?
It's called TWC, Texas Workforce. And I have a counselor where they work with the visually impaired, but it's only one counselor for all the blind people in this city. They need more help. They need help, seriously. And I'm at the point where I just feel like my purpose is to help people like me, speak for the voiceless, advocate for the visually impaired, be invited to the right platforms to tell my story, or to bring, educate people, because people really don't know.
Yeah, they really don't know. And honestly, I've learned a lot through you. And then I put you in touch with one of my friends that I went to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that I went to grad school with.
And our stories is different. She was born that way.
Yeah. I have a good friend named Miso. Shout out to Miso.
Oh, absolutely.
Miso is the bomb.com.
Seriously.
And literally when they said her name, like the whole audience went crazy in grad school. Like, yeah, Miso.
She's really good. Seriously.
She's so amazing. And she was born blind, like you said. And she talks a lot about being a privileged blind person, right?
Mm-hmm.
That as somebody who's Korean, she had a very supportive mother who helped her through all of that and had time to put all her books and stuff together and advocate for her. But Miso, watching her navigate the Harvard experience was insane. And I just learned so much from her. And like, I would see her taking notes. Like, she had this little machine and she'd just like listen. And
it's mind-blowing.
The machine only looked like it had maybe 7 buttons on it. I'm like, how is she getting through these notes like this? And
I probably have what she's talking about.
And or even just like, she would just get all the readings done, and how she would hear it was really fast. Like, her readings would be way faster, right? Yeah. So I just learned a lot from watching her. And she also, like, to your point, Shay, I always felt like I was at the beginning of my relationship with Miso, that was the closest I'd ever been to any blind person. And at the beginning of my relationship with Miso, I would like maybe overcompensate to try to help her. And Miso be like,
I think all sighted people do that. I think that's that's nothing bad. But as y'all start, getting to know a blind person on a different level, you'll be like, okay, they can do, because that's how it was for me. Everywhere I go, you can't lift a finger. I can't go there. I can't do this, because they jumping out trying to help.
Yeah. Yep. And that's how she felt too. And she's like, no, like, I got it. I got it.
Because it kind of frustrates you a little bit, like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. So I learned a lot, to your point too, Dom, just like, a lot of blind people, we don't see a lot of them. And when we do, there's this maybe a little bit of like, we don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. Yeah. And so people just kind of
there are a lot of people out there that can't take that.
Yeah.
The stuff that I can take or Miso can take. Because they don't come out. So they are on the fence.
Yeah.
But I worry about those visually impaired people because they're in the house. They're depressed. You never know if they're trying to commit suicide. You don't know. And a lot of blind people don't have family. Like, when I say they don't have family, I have friends who is not close with their family at all. They're literally doing this thing by themselves. And I cannot imagine doing this shit without my family. Do me and my family meet eye to eye all the time? Absolutely not. But I would not still be here if it wasn't for my village. Seriously. Yeah. Because this shit is hard. You have to have support. I cannot imagine going through this by myself. I honestly probably would say I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people behind the scenes who are suffering.
Yeah. Have you ever had any suicidal ideation or anything as a result of blindness?
I mean, I had a thought, but I just feel like I always put myself like, girl, you about to hurt yourself. Like, I don't like pain. I ain't about to hurt myself.
Yeah.
But I've thought about like, damn, would the world be better without me? And then I had thought it might be a little cocky, but I was like, hell no.
Yes. Okay. So really quickly, how long was blind school for you? How long were you there for?
I was there like 6 months. I think it was like from September 2018. Was it 18? I came back February.
Okay. And that was a live-in program?
Yeah, I stayed up. I had to drive. It was an hour and a half from where I'm from. And it was like in dorms. You had your own room, your bathroom, and things like that. We had wake up, eat lunch, breakfast, and dinner, and you can mingle in the common area with the TVs and stuff. But during the day, we would go to class. And the craziest shit was so funny that you would hear all us walking with our canes and we would be bumping into each other and shit. And we used to just be laughing. And it's crazy because we'll be real quiet when you hear somebody and try to go over to the side and try to get past them. Mm-hmm. It was just, we would do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It was really cool though. It really was.
Yeah. Are you still in touch with people that you met in that program?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had one of my good friends, he actually passed away last year. He was really cool. He was like my big brother. So he passed away. But for the most part, I still talk to them here and there.
Okay. So can you tell us, okay, so just briefly, what is the employment journey been like for you? What do you want to see happen? What do you want to be true at the end of this interview? Well, if you had to put something out into the universe, what do you need the people watching this interview to know about your employment journey?
Oh, well, the employment journey sucks for the visually impaired and disability. It's just awful. They have the basic in their, code of conduct because they have to, the bare minimum for disabilities. But, we're in 2022 now. So why don't we have these billion-dollar companies? Why don't you have Braille at your companies? Why don't you have the equipment where we can use computer work? Mm. Why are you not trying to give other people opportunities? Like, they're not trying and they're not willing to work with no one. I've applied to so many jobs and things like that, and they'll write me off. And it's just like, did you even give me a chance? They'll say your resume is good, your interview was amazing, but we don't have the proper equipment to hire you. And I think that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a travesty.
That's unacceptable. I feel like people need to do more. People need to be more open-hearted. These people are making billions of dollars. People with disabilities, they don't want to just sit on a butt and live off of disability for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. You have people who actually want to work. And that's me. I want to work. And it's crazy how they'll say, there's millions of jobs out here and nobody wants to work. Well, you can't really say that because you have a person with disability who want to work, but you don't even want to give them a chance.
So Dominique has been on this journey for
6 years.
It's been 6 years since she's had gainful employment. And so I just want to put a pin in that as something that, like you said, Dominique, is totally unacceptable. And that if there are people watching this, that this is somebody she has a degree, she has work experience, unfortunate life circumstance derailed her goal.
Exactly. I mean, if I could choose to see, girl, don't you think I'd be, but this was an unfortunate situation that happened to me and I shouldn't be punished for something that I had no say so in. That's right. And if this is supposed to be America and a free country and this, that, and the third, give other people opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and put that out into the universe.
Absolutely.
And what are you
talking on the radio? You don't have to see to be on the radio.
That's right. What do you hope that sighted people need to be aware of or have a better understanding of as a result of your blindness? What are you hoping sighted people will take away from this?
Educate yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things. People really need to sit down and educate yourself. You're never too busy to educate and learn more about people who you walk among every day. You may not see a blind person every day. You might not see a person that's deaf every day. But when you see them, you should know how to respond to them. That's even with these hospitals. I go to the hospital and it's just mind blowing how they treat me. It's just like, just common sense in my mind. When you see someone, you just know to do something different. People are not like that. Like I was in an emergency room a couple weeks ago, and they put me in a room or whatever the case may be. You would think, okay, I'm blind. Put the call light next to me. I'm literally yelling for help in the room, and I'm frustrated at this point. So I'm like, "Where's your manager? Or who can I speak to?"
Right.
And I'm like, "You put me in this room. You didn't put a call light next to me. How am I supposed to reach somebody? Like, I'm literally in pain, yelling for help. Like,
wow.
Where's the compassion? Where is?" And me and my wife, we came up with something like, these jobs really need more training. They need training on how to deal with people with visual impairment.
Absolutely.
They really need to, when they have these trainings for these jobs, when they hire people, they need to add in there for the training how to deal with people with disabilities.
And not just the hearing impairment.
Yeah, because
that's the common one.
Yeah, hearing impairment, like they really put visual impairment under the rug.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to put them to the forefront. And whatever I got to do to put them on the forefront, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I really appreciate you giving us that visual and walking us through like what a very practical visit to the doctor or overnight stay at a hospital.
And it's so frustrating. It makes my wife and my family, like, at this point they're ready to fight, because they're like, how could you even? And I'm like, I'm literally in pain, screaming for help, and then they come to me, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sorry, it's not good enough.
I have to literally go in there and act out of character to get somebody's attention on her behalf, because they're ignoring her. It's crazy.
Like, I'll go into a doctor's appointment if I'm by myself, and knowing that somebody came up behind me and you can hear them say something to them, and you literally have to yell, like, is someone going to help me or assist me? Well, I'm sorry, we didn't know that you. What? I just walked in. Like, what do you want me to say? And then they look. I know they looking at me crazy when I'm like, is somebody gonna help me? They probably like, this crazy blind lady. No, I wouldn't have to do that if y'all do your job.
Yeah, and you're a Black woman too at that, right? So it's like
a
Black woman trope, and you're blind. Like, she's doing too much.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Like, my wife literally has to come sometimes or get on the phone for people to get it together. And it's just like, why?
Yeah. So it sounds like
the same respect as everybody else.
Say that again.
We want the same respect as everyone else. We're human, just like if everybody closed their eyes, you can't see nothing. We're all the same. Of course, we're different in our own ways, but at the end of the day, treat somebody how you want to be treated. At the end of the day, we're all human. It don't matter what we look like on the outside or the challenges that we go through. Treat everybody equally. That's what's wrong with the world now.
Yeah. Shay, is there anything that you want to add to this conversation before we get ready to log off? Like, how are you feeling at the end of this conversation? And thank you again for sharing.
I thank you for even allowing her to get her story out there. I think, as she stated, as sighted individuals, we go through day-to-day life and take everything for granted because we're moving so quick and we're not living in this present moment. If I had to tell anybody anything, I would tell them to be aware. Just be aware.
It takes 2 seconds to pay attention.
It takes 2 seconds to ask somebody, are they good? Do you need help? Do you need direction? And when you do it, be conscious enough to know that if you're talking to a non-sighted individual, saying over here, here, over there, that's not going to work. Actually be able to direct them. But again, that comes with, like what she said, that would have to come with training, because this is not something that comes second nature. So I have a background working in a special education room. So I've been kind of exposed to little things here and there. But this has been different. I've had to correct myself several times. So even
riding an Uber or Lyft, I've been in actual Lyft cars where they've dropped me off in the wrong spot, didn't help me, didn't assist me, none of that. And I literally had to call her or one of my family on FaceTime to ask them, like, where am I?
Direct her home. It's been crazy. I've legit had to get on to people like I'm their mother. Like, you ought to be ashamed. Y'all see her standing here by herself, and y'all are just walking around her acting as if she is invisible. No, I'm here to let you know she is here, she exists, and y'all not gonna treat her like that.
That's right. And do you have your shared location on, Dom? Like, do you share your location with your loved ones so they know how to find you on their phone?
No, I actually don't.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, Apple, and I can show you how to do that after this, but you should just share your location with like Shay, for example, or people that need to know where you are.
Yeah.
So they can, like, my sister always tracks me. She's like, "Ooh, I see you on your way home." I'm like, girl.
Yeah. And I think what I want to, I want to piggyback off of her. People don't take life for granted. Seriously. When you open your eyes and see the sky, the grass, you need to count that as a blessing, because you don't know the last time that you may see that, or something might happen where it's remove you from it. I just want people to be humble about what they have. They feel like it's supposed to be like that, and things could be snatched away from you in a drop of a dime. So appreciate what you have been blessed with, because sometimes I just be wanting to look at the sky and look at the grass. That's little to a person that's sighted. Nobody looks at that. Just look at the different cars or the people walking past you. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
And people, I just say type of people, we're so busy trying to make ends meet and just survive that we forget about the basic things in life.
That's real. And that's a lesson for us all. I think COVID has really humbled a lot of us in that. And definitely if you're a person living with disabilities, you understand as well that like the simple things in life matter. You know,
it does.
When you zoom out of survival mode, you can see it a little more clearly, right? Tell us before we log off, what inspires you today? What's motivating you today, Dom?
My family. My mom, she always watch over me. I know she be pushing me through when I don't even want to be pushed. My wife pushed me. Just the dreams and aspirations that I have for myself, where I want to be. I get down sometimes, but I have a bigger picture that I'm trying to accomplish, and I haven't accomplished it yet. So I'm going to push till I make it.
That's right. And for those who are watching and want to support Dominique, as she said, the unemployment journey has been a long one, and we want to make sure that this gets in the hands of the right people so she can get the support that she needs. You can, in the meantime, donate to her Cash App or her PayPal. Her Cash App is 1988 DOM, DOM, right there on the screen, or you can send her a monetary gift on PayPal, Dominique Reynolds 324. And we thank you both so much for sharing so deeply and vulnerably, and for starting us off in these epic conversations.
I appreciate you even thinking about me and taking your time to even let me tell my story to help people, because I really hope I can touch and help someone. So I do appreciate you even thinking about me, and anytime you need me for anything, you know I'm a phone call away.
I appreciate that, Dom. And we will absolutely be in touch, and I'm going to be connected with some folks on your behalf as well. Y'all, this conversation has been years in the making. I've been wanting to interview Dominique for so long now. So
it's here. It's done. We got it.
We got it. So I'll be thinking about y'all and lifting you up. And again, support Dominique at any one of these venues below. And until
I got TikTok as well.
And yes, See What I'm Saying. See What I'm Saying is on. You can find her on See What I'm Saying. I'm gonna go ahead and put that here.
Okay.
So people can see that. Boop. Let's see if that there it goes. At See What I'm Saying. So you guys can find her on her social media at See What I'm Saying. And she's growing that platform right now in real time. So if you have skills to help her get that off the ground, whether it's, graphic organizing, whether it's editing on Reels or TikTok.
Marketing is good. All the help, I'm open. Just come on and holler at me.
Come on and holler at her. Let's get her hooked up.
Thank you, sis, so much. I love you.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited for your journey, because it's coming. And like I said, I'm one phone call away.
Absolutely. I receive that. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.